Attention women golfers, your best game yet is about to happen, guaranteed. How? Through the expert instruction you'll find in the pages of Golf for Women magazine. It's jam-packed with easy-to-follow tips and techniques that will help you perfect your backswing, fine-tune your putting, even explode out of the bunker in a single shot. Plus, each issue keeps you up to date on equipment, travel, fashion, and more. In fact, Golf for Women magazine has been so successful at helping millions of women get the most out of golf that we offer this unconditional lifetime guarantee. If Golf for Women magazine doesn't cut strokes off your game, improve your swing knowledge and enjoyment of golf, we'll refund the full subscription price you paid at any time. And if you order now, you'll get 2 full years for the price of 1. That's 2 years for just $11.97 plus $3 postage and handling. Order today for yourself or a friend. It's like having your own personal golf pro at your side. Call now, 1-800-522-5333.
Where the hype ends, the real story of sports begins.
I took the growth hormone. It may cost me my life.
Now Time Life Video brings you blood, sweat, and glory. A heart-pumping look inside the minds of the athletes who live and die to win. Your first video, For the Thrill of It, takes you on a bone-rattling run down skiing's most dangerous downhill course and into thin air with those who live to cheat death one last time. Other videos give you an insider's look at sports' greatest moments and show you the fine line that separates competition from all-out warfare. Call this toll-free number now to order For the Thrill of It for just $9.99. Other videos will arrive at the regular price, but there's no commitment to buy.
I am the greatest.
Call now.
Call 1-800-352-2121 or send $9.99 plus $3.23 shipping and handling to Blood, Sweat, and Glory, Grand Central Station, P.O. Box 5294, Department B-471, New York, New York, 10163.
Class of '93 is graduating in Quebec City today. The Ontario Hockey League has 8 players selected so far. There are 4 from the Western Hockey League, 3 from Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, 1 from U.S. College, a couple from 1 from U.S. High School, 7 international players. And the big story there, Bob, is 5 Swedish players have been selected in the first 24 picks today. I don't know that is a terrific surprise. Because
not a terrific surprise. There was at least 4, and maybe 5, and maybe actually 6, because Stefan Bergquist, the big defenseman, also could have gone in the first round. There was 4 guaranteed to go in the first round, maybe as many as 6, and now we're looking at guaranteed 5 anyways.
We'll look ahead to the Boston Bruins pick, second from last year in the first round, and there could be some suggestion that they too may be looking for a player from U.S. college or high school.
Well, they want to improve their depth on the blue line, but I'm not so sure they're going to do it with this pick. We talked this week that the Boston Bruins are to take a long shot guy, a guy that might be not on the top of everybody else's list. His name is Kevin Adams, and he's a player from Miami of Ohio. We'll soon find out.
Au 25e choix de la première round, Kevin Adams, Miami of Ohio University.
Kevin Adams is a native of the Buffalo area. His family, close personal friends with the Bowman family. That would be the Scott Bowman family. Kevin Adams is a guy that didn't garner as much attention as maybe he should have this year because he played behind Brian Savage. Brian Savage at University of Miami was the Central Collegiate Hockey Association Player of the Year. As a result, Kevin Adams played second fiddle. He scored a goal this year against Ferris State that every scout still talks about. It was like a Savardian spinorama. There was a lot of scouts in attendance, and they all happened to be there that night, and they're still talking about one of the most brilliant goals that was scored this year by Kevin Adams. And the Boston Bruins believe they may have drafted here a clone of Adam Oates.
He's an excellent skater, a good goal scorer, and has an excellent touch, and he's with Paul Roman.
A lot of people are surprised at where you've gone in this draft. How about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm just as surprised as everyone else. You know, I was hoping for the best and as high as I could go, and I'm really excited right now.
I know that one of your favorite NHL players is Alexander McGillney. You certainly are a little bit more stocky than him, but are your playmaking abilities similar? Do you model yourself after the guy?
I don't think I can resemble Alexander McGillney in any way, but you know, I love the moves that he tries to do, and at full speed, he's a phenomenal player.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Kevin Adams, chosen by the Boston Bruins. He's a center from Miami of Ohio. An MVP on the varsity baseball team, as well as his hockey skills, so he's a very gifted athlete. He was rated 40th overall by Central Scouting, so it does rank as a bit of a surprise to some here today, no question.
No question about that. That goal that he scored against Ferris State in the CCHA semifinal, in attendance at that game, Mike Milbury. Mike Milbury was there to see Brian Smolinski play for Michigan Tech. Smolinski, of course, came up and joined the Bruins at the end of the season. And now Kevin Adams. Kevin with a V-Y-N at the end of his name as opposed to I-N. Goes up and puts on the sweater of the Boston Bruins. And the question the Bruins always ask themselves when they're getting ready to draft somebody, is he a Bruin? They think Kevin Adams is. Proud day for his family. His dad's a pilot with American Airlines.
Young man with a great attitude, according to all reports, and team leadership capabilities. So Kevin Adams, chosen in the first round by the Boston Bruins, 25th overall.
Saw him in the hotel the other day, shaking hands, catching up on old times with Scotty Bowman. Of course, Scotty Bowman lives in the Buffalo area as well. The Adams and the Bowmans, very close.
To the final pick of the opening round.
Is he a Bruin?
He will be, we think. He will be someday. He's a good prospect.
What did you know about him that Central Scouting obviously didn't? They had him ranked a lot lower than where you picked him.
Well, we usually know a lot more than Central Scouting. No, we just we picked up on him in the NCAA playoffs, and we really zeroed in on him, and everybody started to like him at that point. He's a good, hard-working centerman, makes a good plays, good skater, and very, very ambitious type player. So who knows in these drafts? You know, the 25th pick used to be the first pick in the third round not too long ago.
Thanks, Harry.
Okay.
To the Pittsburgh Penguin table now, and whoever the Penguins choose will not crack the lineup this time around, or very quickly, I wouldn't imagine.
I'm going to venture a guess the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to go to Europe for their pick. Some good European prospects available right now. Little David Vaborny, a Czech player, outstanding offensive ability. Looking for some defensive depth. In that case, they could look to a Russian Nikolai Zuligin or Radim Bishanek, the Czech defenseman, and another guy that they like a lot, Swedish defenseman Stefan Bergqvist. Very strong guy, perhaps to replace Kjell Samuelsson down the line. They picked up a good offensive player last year in Martin Straka, an outstanding pick 2 years ago with Marcus Naslund, Jaromir Jagr.
Even better the year before that.
You can see that their emphasis of being on offensive players from Europe. I'm going to take a flyer here and say that the emphasis this year will be on defensive players from Europe. I would hazard a guess that a guy like Bergqvist could be at the top of their list. Last pick of the first round
belongs to the Penguins.
Mesdames et messieurs, les Penguins de Pittsburgh veulent remercier les Nordiques de Québec et la ville de Québec pour leur hospitalité cette semaine. Pour la présentation de notre choix, voici Craig Patrick.
Pittsburgh Penguins select from Leksand, Sweden, Stefan Bergqvist.
Stefan Bergqvist.
Bergqvist is rated as a strong skater with a solid shot. Extra good on special teams, showing some physical skills. Stefan Bergqvist, chosen as the 6th Swede in the opening round.
Well, they're talking about Bergqvist like very strong guy. John Ferguson says he thinks he's the strongest player available in the draft this year, can bench press 300 pounds. And certainly Kjell Samuelsson getting a little long in the tooth. And I'm sure they're projecting that a big guy like Stefan Bergqvist will step into the lineup and take over from Big Kjell one day. Maybe even be the centerpiece of that Pittsburgh defense. Also includes Ulf Samuelsson, another Swede.
Stefan Bergqvist started to play for the national junior team in Sweden at age 15. 6'3", 218 pounds. He has size and terrific ability. So the Pittsburgh Penguins have rounded out the opening round by choosing the 6th player from Sweden in the 1993 NHL entry draft, and the hat fits rather well on Stefan Bergqvist, a defenseman from Sweden.
And And so concludes the first round of the NHL entry draft. Not any major surprises and no major trades, with the exception of the San Jose Sharks, the Hartford Whalers. A little bit of favors done between the Washington Capitals and the Calgary Flames, but overall there was no Felix Potvin trade. There was no Dave Manson trade, at least not yet. And here's Jim Van Horn.
Thanks, Bob. Craig Patrick, there was a lot of talk about trades and teams moving up. Did you try to get a higher selection this year?
No, we didn't. We weren't able to get any conversations going at all, and so we're real satisfied with our pick. We're real pleased we get a mobile defenseman with size like this.
Were you surprised that he was available when he was?
Everybody's always surprised to get the player they get when they get him, but we felt that he probably should have gone earlier, but we're really happy that he's available for us.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
First round is now complete at the 1993 NHL entry draft. The class of 93 ready to graduate. Second round coming up in a moment.
Hey, baseball fans, how would you like to win a tough trip for two to see the Pirates play the Braves in Atlanta? Courtesy of Quaker State and KBL. The Quaker State Pirates away game weekend includes 2 tickets to the Pirates versus the Braves games on July 17th and 18th, round-trip airfare and accommodations. No purchase necessary to enter. Just stop in and pick up your official entry form at participating Cranmar, Hub, and Baden Auto stores. Enter as often as you like. Some restrictions may apply. From Quaker State, it's one tough motor oil.
Driving drunk is not only dangerous, but it's stupid as well. And everyone who does it is a potential killer. I'm Jim Pack of the Pittsburgh Penguins. There is no excuse for drunk driving. Take a cab or have a friend drive you home. Driving while intoxicated is a criminal act. If you're stopped, you will lose your license. Of course, you might also kill someone. The Pennsylvania State Police, your local police, and Mothers Against Drunk Driving all urge you to buckle up, drive at 55, and don't ever drink and drive.
Coming to TNT. One day, you can stand on top of the victory stand. Our country's top Olympic athletes. And one day, you can watch your flag rise above all others. Go head to head. And one day, you can say, on this day, I am a champion. The pursuit of Olympic gold begins at the U.S. Olympic Festival, July 24th on TNT.
On Liberty Avenue near Baum. But did you know that McCain is also Pittsburgh's biggest Ford dealer? With over 1,000 vehicles priced from factory invoice. Look at this incredible buy on a new 93 Ford Taurus and on this brand new 93 Honda Accord 4-door. Buy the new 93 Plymouth Voyager 7-passenger minivan at unheard of savings, or the new 93 Old Sierra below any price in town. And remember, bring your best deal to McCain and we'll beat it.
What have you been discussing?
Continuing live coverage of Entry Draft 93. The first round has just been completed, and joining me now is the Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman. Gary, it's your first time at the NHL Draft, or presiding over the NHL Draft. You picked a very exciting time to be here with the 2 new teams coming in and a very, what appears to be, bright future for the NHL.
Yeah, I think it was a fun and productive draft. I think all of our teams got help in the annual right of renewal, and I think all our fans will have good things to look forward to for next season.
We hope they're good things, but you've got a very busy summer coming up ahead. You've got a bargaining agreement that has to be hammered out. How is that shaping up?
Actually, I have 2 bargaining agreements, one with the players and one with the officials. I'm optimistic. I'm confident that Bob Goodenow and I can work well together, and we're going to work jointly to try and build this great sport for the benefit of our fans, as well as the players and the teams. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm looking forward to a good, productive summer as well.
What do you see as the main obstacles that you have to overcome?
Oh, I don't want to get into a point-by-point dissertation on collective bargaining today. We're worrying about the draft, and Bob and I aren't going to negotiate publicly. Fact is, we've got to come up with a system that works well for everybody and lets the sport grow with a good foundation.
Do you think that league revenues and sharing revenues will be a major factor?
I don't know. That's something we'll leave for discussions later on this summer.
Do you see the bargaining agreement between the players or the officials as being the tougher one to come to terms with?
Oh, listen, I think they're both important.
What about your hockey lieutenant? You're still looking for a right-hand man. Have you narrowed the field at all?
Well, I think people are speculating in terms of I'm still looking. What I'm doing is I'm talking to anybody who could have any input in terms of how the job should be structured and who could be a good candidate. I'm trying to make a careful, thoughtful deliberation and come up with the best possible person for an appropriately created job.
Do you have a time frame?
No, as soon as possible. Sooner. I have a big agenda. There are a lot of things I'd like to get this person doing, but I'm not going to let haste cause me to make a decision that I might regret or not be as happy with if I waited a few weeks.
Are you happy with the way things have gone today? It's not very often you get a building like this filled for a draft.
It's been a great day for the NHL and its fans.
Gary, thank you very much. Congratulations and good luck this summer.
Thank you very much.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Let's get back to John and Bob.
And joining us in our control situation up here high atop the Coliseum, Quebec City, Bob Goodenow of the National Hockey League Players Association. Mr. Bettman didn't really want to talk about collective bargaining a whole bunch, but I take it, from what I understand, that you and Gary have a pretty good rapport going these days, and discussions are ongoing.
Yes, we've had a number of discussions on just general matters that have arisen so far, John, and really the course of the negotiations will start in the coming weeks, and I'm sure everyone will be apprised of the developments as they move on. It's awfully hard to suggest exactly what the timing will be, but I'm sure it'll be awfully busy.
Bob, are there positive signs as far as you're concerned when we look back to a year ago at this time? Are we making more progress with working on more of a teamwork situation between the league and the players?
Well, really, communications is so important, and the relationship between the league and the players is developed on a personal relationship and a lot of communication. And Gary and I have worked very hard at trying to establish that kind of rapport, and we've been successful. I think that bodes well for the negotiations. There's been a lot of things to cover and a lot of issues that are new and changing in hockey today, and we'll make good progress. I'm optimistic.
Noticed in the paper about a week ago that Mr. Bettman was referring to you as Bobby G. Is that how close the relationship has grown lately?
Well, it's not that close at all. Actually, I asked Gary, I said, when did you ever call me Bobby G? I don't know where that story came out in the press, but maybe Mr. Houston got his signals crossed.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that somebody would be misquoted in this day and age, Bobby Mack.
What, is there a timetable at this point for the negotiations?
Actually, Bob, there is. We've set aside a number of days in our calendars, respectively, throughout the month of July and August and September. And what will happen is we'll start to get into issues, and I'm sure it'll just kind of flow from there. But there are specific dates that we have set aside.
The big talk today, obviously, the National Hockey League entry draft. Too many players selected in this draft. Should it be scaled down significantly?
Well, you know, there was an issue for discussion the last time with the collective bargaining. And interestingly enough, we moved the draft from a 12-round draft down to 11 rounds. And then by the expansion of 2 teams, there's actually as many, if not more, players drafted. We feel that after a certain point in time that the draft becomes a redundancy, that the top players, if you really want to distribute the players and have the top players go to the weaker finishing teams, that the fewer the number of rounds, the better for everyone concerned.
A lot of people in NHL management have suggested that they're looking at going to a 17-2 roster as opposed to an 18-2 roster. Is that bound to be a contentious issue in negotiations?
It always is a contentious issue, and it will be again. If that's really the position that the owners take. It's a long, hard season with a tremendous amount of travel, and if you shorten up the bench, it makes it that much more difficult for the players that have to play. If a player gets hurt or a player gets kicked out of the game, it's really difficult. And I've talked to a number of the players, especially on the Western teams, when they come through the East and they're on a 14, 18-day trip, to restrict the roster to 17-2 is, in our opinion, not the smart thing to do.
Bob, when you look at the class of '93, the players that we have met here today, it has to make you pretty happy with the type of individual who seems to be ready to join the National Hockey League, particularly the players we've met here today.
Absolutely, John. I had the opportunity to meet Chris Pronger and Sault Ste. Marie during the Memorial Cup. In the last few days, I've spent some time. I had the opportunity to meet Paul Correa and Alexander Daigle, and they're great young men. They love the game, they're great talents, and they're really looking forward to starting their careers next fall.
Talked about it on the telecast just a little bit, but Bob, a lot of very well-spoken young players ready to join the National Hockey League.
There is, and when you consider the fact that they're well-spoken, and a lot of them are from Europe. They've done a very good job, and 6 Swedes taken in the first round. There's a court case pending on Tuesday about the status of the Swedish players Marcus Naslund and Peter Forsberg as to whether or not their free agent status, when that might take effect, or whether they can sign a contract after July 1st. Is that court case still on?
Yes, it is. My understanding, there were some more papers filed yesterday afternoon, and over the weekend the lawyers will be looking at it to see if it can't get resolved before a Tuesday hearing. If not, it'll go forward.
Bob, Bob, thank you very much for joining us, and maybe we can get Marcel to turn on the air conditioner before we fry up here this afternoon.
My pleasure. Thank you, John.
Bob Goodenow of the National Hockey League Players Association. The second round is underway. We'll take a look at the draft picks in the second round, and we'll continue live from Quebec City in just a moment.
If you've ever struggled with a handheld trimmer, you'll love this revolutionary new kind of trimmer on wheels. Just look how easy it rolls on those two big wheels and glides in any direction on this front-mounted mobile. It's perfect for trimming around rocks, along fences, buildings, sidewalks, and in all those hard-to-reach corners. The new DR is also a mower. It cuts tall grass, waist-high weeds, even wet grass and rough areas with never-before ease. There's no steel blade to bend or dull. You'll just love what the DR Trimmer Mower can do for you and your property. A big color catalog is just $2. Call toll-free 1-800-522-5333. That's 1-800-522-5333 for your big color catalog all about the revolutionary DR Trimmer Mower.
The world's best push the edge. The chalk, the talk, the walk. Not your typical players, not your typical game. It's tennis to the limit. The IBM ATP Tour, all season on Prime Network.
You think I don't know drugs are bad news? Man, I passed dealers on my way to school. See guys in the alley doing crack. I even saw somebody get shot. I already know about drugs, but what I want to know about now is, how do these fly?
Our kids have better things to do than drugs, but they need our help to keep it that way.
First two players have been selected in the second round by Ottawa and San Jose. And the first player chosen overall at the very top of the class, in the class of 1983, Alexander Digg, chosen by the Ottawa Senators. First overall joins Bob McKenzie and myself here in our overview situation right now. Your feelings a little more than an hour after your selection was made?
Well, it's such a great feeling. I don't know, it's unbelievable. I don't talk, when I come to this draft, I thought maybe like in junior, just 30 minutes, you go and after it's finished, but all this autograph, all those things, all their interviews, it's just wonderful.
How many interviews have you done already?
I don't remember.
Go ahead. Must be a great relief to get this part of it over, because all week long you've been asking questions, all the same questions over and over again. Yeah. You've had that smile plastered on the face all week long.
Well, it's good. It's good for me and it's good for my parents, because my parents don't do nothing, but everybody asks questions, so it's done and we'll go to my own and just take a break.
Now, a lot of people are wondering, did you agree to terms or sign a contract before the draft today?
If I what?
You agreed to terms or sign a contract with the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, we have an agreement, both parties, so it's just great like that, because everybody talked to me about that, so it's over and I'm great. I think I have a good contract and it's great.
Very good contract, from what I understand.
I don't suppose you want to disclose some of the details of that for us here right now.
No, both parties don't talk about that. Maybe Tuesday or something like that.
You're learning very quickly.
But does a draft pick like yourself, does he think about the money? Because before, when a draft pick was taken, it was a lot of money, $100,000 to sign or $200,000 to sign. With a guy like yourself, we're talking about millions of dollars to sign, millions of dollars a year. It's an astronomical sum for a boy from Laval who grows up dreaming of National Hockey League. I know that's the first priority, but do you think about the money?
Well, like every guy, I think a little bit, because maybe all my life I will not need money, so it's over. But it's just great to sign and be just part of it. And it's good for my father and my mother. Always work for me and all come to the practice, everything. So it's just fun. The son are happy. So
silly question, but I'll ask it. What's the first thing you're going to buy?
A car.
What kind?
Well, I don't know right away. Maybe a Nissan, something like that. A sport car, but not too much. That's okay for me.
Now that you're going to get take care of your mom and dad too, and buy the house.
Yeah, buy the house and everything. It'll be all set, so it's fine.
What about you? Are you going to be looking at real estate too? I guess pretty quickly.
Pardon me?
Are you looking at real estate yourself fairly quickly?
Well, I don't know. Maybe go to the family, something like that.
What are you going to do when this is all over today? What's the first thing you're going to do as soon as all of this official stuff is over?
Go have a big dinner with my family, and I don't know, we'll celebrate together.
What about tomorrow?
Just looking for today, and it's okay.
Let's talk hockey for a second, Alexander. Are you worried at all the expectation level when you sign $1 million contract, #1 pick, everybody expects you're going to carry a team on your back? Are you worried at all that people will think that next year, for example, you need to score 100 points, you need to score 50 goals in the NHL?
Right now, I don't think about that. I try to just concentrate about the camp, and after the pressure will go on, so just keep smiling and just enjoy my draft, and after we'll pass to another thing. But right now, the pressure of the draft is over, so just give me a break for 1 month.
As a kid growing up, was there a point in time where you ever dreamed about this moment? Like, how old were you when you ever think, I want to be the top player picked in the draft?
I always thought I want to play in the NHL, but the first one, maybe last year when I finished the season, I was the top rookie of the CHL, so I was, hey, I will go first, and what's happened is great.
That's great. How good do you think you can be in the NHL? I know that's a hard question, but people don't, maybe people haven't seen you play before. People want to know, what should we expect from you? Can you be like Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky, or are you more like Jeremy Roenick or Steve Yzerman? Or
it's hard to tell. I will try to be myself. So, yeah, I don't want to be judged to anyone because I never skate in the NHL and I don't have any goals. So I just want to make my own niche and all this stuff, and after you can judge.
Final thought, is this your happiest of all happy days?
Yeah, the biggest day of my life, and I enjoy my stay. It's great.
Keep smiling. It's a pleasure chatting.
No trouble.
All right. Alexander Daigle, chosen first overall by the Ottawa Senators today. Here's a look at what's transpired so far here at the Colisée. 1 through 26, and then a couple more from the second round.
Great courses in my life, and I'd like to think I've designed a few, but I've never played a golf course quite like this. Golf Magazine has introduced a 30-page monthly section called The Golf Course, a unique 18-hole editorial format that delivers more instruction, more features, more of everything. Reading Golf Magazine is like teeing off on a brand new course every month. That's why I joined Golf Magazine as special contributor.
You can join Golf Magazine, too, for custom-tailored private lessons to help you score better. Call now and get absolutely free Jack's video playing the percentages, an insider's guide to improving your game and managing the course for lower scores and more fun. Call now for a great deal on Golf Magazine and your free video. Jack, it's great to have you on the Golf Magazine team. Where should we look for you in upcoming issues?
Where else? The golf course.
You will receive cash. Yes, cash for Rolex, cash for Patek Philippe, cash for Cartier. Heritage Estate buyers will pay you cash for these men's wristwatches or the others I will list. Heritage is on a national search for watches. We will help you with cash if you own a Vacheron, Universal Geneve, Breitling, also Audemars, Movado, and Le Coultre. Your watch can be worth thousands of dollars if it's a chronograph, moon phase, or repeater. This is an opportunity for you to receive cash for a watch that's gathering dust in a drawer. Heritage Estate buyers will pay you cash for the fine men's wristwatches we listed, working or not. If you don't call now, you're losing money. Write down our number. We're ready to pay top dollars now. Time means money. Call Heritage now.
Call 1-800-352-2121 to learn how to receive cash for your vintage watch. Time means money. Call toll-free 1-800-352-2121. Call now.
Live from Quebec City, the 1993 NHL Entry Draft. Round 1 is already complete, and we're continuing with selections in the second round. Live in the Colisée here in Quebec City. Down on the floor, here's Paul Romanow.
And with me is the man they're calling the power broker in the National Hockey League these days. Certainly a power broker when it comes to the draft. 8 first-round selections. Is that your best year ever?
Well, it's pretty close, Paul. In '86, we acted for 10 first-rounders, but this is a pretty rewarding day. We're very happy.
Now, how nerve-wracking is it for you? Obviously, it's tremendously nerve-wracking for the players. Do you go through the same emotions every year?
Pretty much so. You develop a pretty strong friendship and a bond, and you have those same expectations and anticipation before a club finally selects. So by the end of the first round, we put through a pretty good workout and a long day.
I was astounded at how well-spoken most of the players were. Go back to when you first got into the business 10, 15 years ago. I mean, has the player now become much more polished and PR conscious in this age than he was 10 years ago when you started?
Well, I think so. It's very much reflective of the changes in the game today. The game's that much more sophisticated and market-orientated. And in relation to the players, they go through a certain degree of preparation. And you can see it in relation to the speeches that they've made today. They're pretty polished young men.
Don, a couple of things I wanted to touch on. We had some conversations going a few moments ago with Bob Goodenow about the collective bargaining agreement. He was talking about trust and a great relationship with the NHL. You represent the officials. What's that relationship like?
Well, we're excited about the approach that Gary Bettman has taken, in that he's indicated to me we're going to get full cooperation from him in relation to having some meetings, and having meetings early this summer. It gives us a fresh new start. In the past, these negotiations took place the latter part of the summer, and we've had some good rapport and good meetings to date, so we're optimistic that we're going to be able to be successful in getting a new collective bargaining agreement.
There has been a lot of speculation about the extent of Alexander Daig's contract, the one he's going to sign with Ottawa. I was speaking with Randy Sexton, and he was talking about the complexity of the agreement, similar to Eric Lindros's, where it ties into marketing, attendance, and so on. Is that the deal of the future for the high-caliber player?
Well, I think many of the teams are saying now that they're going to orientate their marketing programs towards a superstar, and I know that Ottawa probably is going to view Alexander Daig as a superstar and a franchise player, and I would expect they're going to direct a lot of their energies and a lot of their money towards him.
So how much do the rules change when you go in to cut a deal like that for somebody who's not just a franchise player on the ice, but who's expected to shoulder the load public relations wise?
Well, I think in the past there was always a certain ceiling in relation to what players of that nature would sign for, and last year with Eric Lindros, with a contract that he negotiated, really I think now shows you that there's really no ceiling, and you can be as imaginative as you possibly can, and I think we'll probably see something similar with Alexander Daig today.
I referred earlier to the fact that you were considered by many to be the power broker in the National Hockey League. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek, half in fun, but all in earnest. I mean, after the Stanley Cup final game, Gary Lehman thanked you publicly, Jacques Demers thanked you publicly, Don Cherry mentioned it. Did you envision when you started in the business, Don, getting involved to the extent you have with coaches and management, the referees? I mean, you were, over your neck.
Well, I think when I first started, I was looking to find a client, and nowadays I think after the years that I've put in, I've been involved in the business for 13 years, and the nicest part of it is not so much the professional rapport that you have with these people, but the friendship that you develop, because the friendship will last a lot longer after these people have gone and retired from the game. That's the most rewarding part.
So the relationship with the officials, for example, I mean, surely that's not just for money. You have enough of that. Why are you involved there?
Well, I'm involved on behalf of the officials because a year ago I sat down with their executive and I looked at their collective bargaining agreement, and I really did feel on a matter of principle that they do need some help in relation to their families and their careers, and I think things will have to change if they want to attract good people into the game, and I think for those reasons I took it as a matter of principle that I think I can really help them out.
Congratulations again, Don, and continued success.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Don Meehan, let's go back upstairs now to John and Bob.
Round 2 continues here at the Colisée in Quebec City. Round 1 held very few surprises as we look through the top 26 picks here this afternoon. 6 Swedish players were taken, and some people might be surprised at that, but you were not.
No, not at all. Coming into the draft, we knew that there was at least 4 that would go there, and things tend to run in cycles. And last year certainly was the year of the European.
11 of the first 24.
But most of those Europeans were Russians or Czechs. This year, the emphasis, no question, on the Swedish player.
When you look at the breakdown, is that pretty well what everyone was expecting here today too? Players
the top end players are Canadian, and that's, I guess, refreshing for a country that obviously prides itself on hockey being our game, and that was reflected by the good number of great major junior players that were taken today, and University of freshman sensation Paul Kariya from the Vancouver area. So it was a real terrific year for Canadian talent. And again, those things tend to run in cycles. Everybody a year ago was bemoaning the death of hockey in Canada and saying that we weren't developing good enough players, and this year obviously the reverse is true. So I think the idea is not to overreact to hockey players who come from anywhere, and no one's got the market cornered on them, and Canada's always going to turn out their fair share.
I guess what is interesting when you look at the trends that do happen at this annual draft of hockey players, it's rather interesting to see why there is a deep draft in 1993 and why it was slim pickings a year ago, or what might be ahead in 1995.
It's all just part of the cycle, is what it really boils down to. The game is cyclical in nature. That's true of the teams that play it. You see teams come to the top and teams go to the bottom. The New York Islanders, Edmonton Oilers were dynasties, and now they're struggling to rebuild and get into a situation. So same thing happens in the junior draft.
Player agent Michael Barnett has joined us now in our location here. Michael, welcome. You had a pretty good first round. Congratulations on that. 7 first rounders for you this time.
Thank you.
Let's take us through your draft picks here, beginning with Rob Niedermeyer. Pretty well what you were expecting for Rob?
I think everyone anticipated that he would be in that quote group of 6 that would go somewhere, and with some of the juggling that happened early, it ended up being Miami, which was probably the least of the teams that we expected it to be, John. But in reality, looking back now, Bobby Clark is the Western Canadian. He played the game with a lot of ferocity and intensity. Robbie Niedermeyer plays the game that way. Bill Torrey won a lot of Stanley Cups with teams based around Western Canadians. There's a good fit there, and Robbie's very happy.
And you had a good fit, too, because you've got not only Western Canadians, but the next player chosen was Kozlov. I believe you represent him as well.
Well, Victor was one that people didn't know really what was going to happen with him because he hadn't finished the year as strongly as some might have hoped he would. But the potential with him is so tremendous. San Jose was looking for a big center. They've got lots of time on their hands to develop, and Victor will certainly be a big part of their future.
You're absolutely confident. Is Kozlov the kind of player that can carry a team, or is the jury still out on that? Or
I think he's just so gifted. There's different ways of leading, Bob, and Victor's leadership, I think, will come in the pure skills that he brings to the ice.
Certainly an interesting kid. He seemed to be a little bit awestruck by the whole proceedings here. And this is a kid that's been around a little bit. It's not as if it's his first time he's been here to Canada. He was at Wayne Gretzky's hockey school last year in Montreal, but at the shopping mall where they had the indoor roller coaster and everything else, he was looking around like a little kid. I'm sure that he's awestruck by the whole proceedings.
Well, let's face it, Togliatti, Russia is a long way in terms of the things that you see there versus here. So he's going to have a great life in San Jose, and I'm sure he's going to be a big part of their organization.
You represent an awful lot of international clientele. You've got a lot of the Swedes that were drafted here today. You've got Victor Kozlov. That's obviously where the game is headed, and certainly a lot of talent coming out from those areas.
Well, we're very fortunate with our company to have some strong people based in Stockholm, based in Prague, and places like that where the recruiting is done. It isn't a one-man show by any means, and we've got very good guys that are working on behalf of myself and the people in our hockey division. So we're fortunate.
We were talking earlier, Michael, about the caliber of the player and how well spoken so many seem to be. How much does the agent, the player agent, you and Donnie Meehan and all the boys have to do with the way that these gentlemen are coming forward and presenting themselves on television and here during the whole week in Quebec?
You try to give the boys some guidance, some tips, the type of things that will work well for them, but in reality, they're so astute now at such an early age that I never cease to be amazed at how far they've come off the ice, as well as how talented they are as 17, 18-year-olds. So by and large, their innate intelligence, their background, their family upbringing is really the reason why you see them the way they are.
Alexander Daigle has apparently agreed to terms with the Ottawa Senators. Is that where everybody takes their lead in terms of the contract negotiations? If the better deal he got, the better everybody else is going to get?
Well, normally, Bob, you expect to see the player picked first, wait and see what the market makes of itself. But from what I understand, this is going to be a very strong contract, and if it's what we anticipate it to be, it'll be a nice ceiling to work up towards.
I've heard about an average of about $2 million a year on a long-term deal, 5 or 6 years. Is that what the scuttlebutt down on the floor is?
Well, that would be nice.
Listen, you had a pretty good day so far. 7 first-rounders.
It's a nice mix. A young player like Adam Deadmarsh, I think, going to Quebec, it's a perfect fit as far as we're concerned. They have so much finesse and skill. Adam brings some toughness and some skills to the game. He's very excited. He'll be starting to learn French in the next 2 or 3 days.
We can't let you get away without very quickly asking, Wayne Gretzky, you represent him. What's his future? Is he going to be back with the Los Angeles Kings? Is he going to be playing?
Well, we all hope he'll play. Let's face it, with what he does on the ice, the way he carries himself off the ice, I'm sure Mr. McNall is hopeful that he'll play. I don't anticipate a decision very quickly. Wayne wants to really weigh all of the things and make a decision that he'll never regret, but let's all hope that he continues to play.
Do you think he'll be back?
I wouldn't want to bet on it right now, Bob. Wayne is, at this point in time, the first that'll know when it's time to play, when it's time not to, and I think we all take direction from him in this.
Well, I think you skirted the issue rather well there, Michael. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue live from the Coliseum, Quebec City. The 1993 NHL Entry Draft continues as we move through round number 2.
Hey, baseball fans, how would you like to win a tough trip for 2 to see the Pirates play the Braves in Atlanta? Courtesy of Quaker State and KBL. The Quaker State Pirates away game weekend includes 2 tickets to the Pirates versus the Braves games on July 17th and 18th. Round-trip airfare and accommodations. No purchase necessary to enter. Just stop in and pick up your official entry form at participating Frank's Auto Supply and Auto Supermarket stores. Enter as often as you like. Some restrictions may apply. From Quaker State, it's one Tough Motor Oil.
The big phone companies are trying to pull the wool over lawmakers' eyes, saying they need expensive new gadgets that they want you and me to pay for, while they pig out on the profits. The phone company already has a tough time providing affordable service to many of its rural customers, like Bill, whose phone is in his barn because the phone company wants $2,000 more to run the line to his house. That's bull. Telephone technology should benefit everyone. Call now and get the phone company to act more like a phone company and less like, well, you get the picture.
Everyone loves a winner. The winner right now is the giant summer clearance sale at all 6 Coach House stores for men. Top quality suits including Hart, Schaffner & Marks, Burberry's, and Hugo Boss are now available from $199 to $399. America's favorite blazer by Jack Nicklaus now only $149, and it's the same great price for big or tall men. So visit any of the 6 Coach House locations and see what a real sale is all about.
Merciless predators of the wild. Time Life Video presents Predators of the Wild, a brand new video series that gives you a compelling look at how nature's most powerful hunters dominate the food chain. Uncensored footage reveals how they select their prey, stalk their victims, and move in for the kill. Call now and begin your collection by exploring hunters and the hunted for only $9.99. You'll confront nature's one chilling reality: kill or starve. Keep Hunters and the Hunted and other tapes will follow about every other month. Each tape gives you an in-depth look at a different predator, how they create life, and how they take it away. Predators of the Wild explores the killer instinct. Call now to order Hunters and the Hunted for only $9.99 and see how the savage survive.
To order Hunters and Hunted, call 1-800-522-5333 or send $9.99 plus $3.23 shipping and handling to Predators Video Series, P.O. Box 4943, Department P, Omaha, Nebraska 68104.
On the road again. Introducing American Roads, a great new collection that hits you where you live.
Americana. 18 wheels and a dozen roses.
It's a long, hard road.
American Roads features 40 great hits. It'll make you feel good. Here's how to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-352-2121. That's 1-800-352-2121. Or send $19.95 for 3 LPs or 3 cassettes, or $24.95 for 2 CDs, plus $4 shipping to American Roads, P.O. Box 4943, Department P, Omaha, Nebraska, 68104.
Welcome back. Let's get you updated on what's happened in the second round so far, Bob.
Well, to start things off, Ottawa took Radim Bacanic, a Czech defenseman. San Jose followed that up. Sean Donovan, a forward from the Ottawa 67s, the first goaltender taken after Jocelyn Thibault by the Tampa Bay Lightning, Tyler Moss from Kingston. And then the Anaheim Mighty Ducks took Nikolai Zuligin, a defenseman from Russia. Another goaltender goes to the Winnipeg Jets. And a traded pick, Scott Lankow from the Portland Winterhawks. The New Jersey Devils follow up by taking Jay Pandolfo from Boston University. Edmonton Oilers picked up David Vaborny from Czech Republic. New York Rangers pick up Regina defenseman Lee Sorkin. And the Dallas Stars take Jamie Langenbrunner, player from Minnesota High School. Jani Niinema, defenseman from Finland, goes to the Philadelphia Flyers. And Maxim Betts, the scoring star for the Spokane Chiefs, a Russian-born player, goes to the St. Louis Blues, followed by another Russian, Denis Segurov from Togliatti. He's gone to the Buffalo Sabres, followed by number 39, Brendan Morrison, to the New Jersey Devils. Now here's our Gary Green with Serge Savard.
Serge, the Montreal Canadiens have always been very successful in the second round.
Well, yes, we've been we had a lot of locks in the second round. We made a lot of trades for early second pick. And when you go into the second round, there's always a lot of players that are rated in the first round. They're still available. And we had a lot of locks. If you look over the first round, with most of the team, our rate of success is about 30%. That's about what it is.
Serge, you've always had a good-sized scouting staff, and it seems to have paid off for you. Do you see some teams that are going with far fewer scouts? Your plans for the future?
Yeah, well, you don't need that many scouts if you want to with central scouting. We got a pretty good central scouting system. But this team, we always want to build by the base. From the base, and we produce our own players if we can, and I think we have more depth that way, and by trading so many players for draft choices, so we produce more players.
Do you still see in the future your team sticking with a farm system? A lot of the teams are starting to share teams, and some are going away from the Mamas. What do you see in the future?
We're not going to share teams. We're spending anywhere from $700,000 to $1 million with our farm club every year, and that's the cost that we agree to pay to develop players. We're not going to save $500,000 to maybe miss 4 or 5 players.
Thank you very much, Serge. I hope I didn't jinx you today. I hope you have a good second round as well.
But if you keep talking to me, you might miss a second round.
All right, we better let Serge go. Back to you guys.
Well, the Montreal Canadiens have indeed had some terrific second rounds in NHL drafts past.
Hey, would they be the Stanley Cup champions if not for John LeClair, a second rounder?
And so as you look at the Montreal Canadiens, it is a team that is deep in history, of course, but they have really done very well.
Well, they certainly have, and Serge Savard hit the nail on the head when you're talking about the second round. Quite often there are a lot of good first-round prospects, for one reason or another, that have slipped to the second round. There's still very good prospects, and at that point, but maybe a little less heralded than some of the other guys. And as a result, they grow up with less expectation, less attention on them. They're allowed to develop, and quite often they turn out to be quite almost like a gem.
So as the second round continues here at the Colisee, if you're looking for one surprise that happened to us here today, have you spotted anything that really shocked you so far, Bob?
Well, the Buffalo Sabres at pick number 38 took a guy by the name of Denis Segurov, and there's really not a lot known about this guy other than the fact he's a Russian player, and that's not unusual that a Russian's taken at that spot, but he's not one of the higher profile Russians, not one of the higher profile Europeans, so that would qualify as a bit of a surprise. A very early run on goaltenders, Tyler Moss, Scott Lankow, all going early in the second round.
Well, hockey dreams continue to be made here at the Colisee in Quebec City as the 1993 NHL entry draft continues, and we'll be right back with more in just a moment.
Hey, baseball fans, how would you like to win a tough trip for 2 to see the Pirates play the Braves in Atlanta? Courtesy of Quaker State and KBL. The Quaker State Pirates away game weekend includes 2 tickets to the Pirates versus the Braves games on July 17th and 18th. Round-trip airfare and accommodations. No purchase necessary to enter. Just stop in and pick up your official entry form at participating Gatling's Auto Stores. Enter as often as you like. Some restrictions may apply. From Quaker State, it's One Tough Motor Oil.
Ever since this country began, newspapers like this one have been the heart and soul of the communities they serve, providing news and jobs to the people who live there. But now the big phone companies want to make front-page news by getting into businesses other than their own. And that could cost us more than higher phone bills. It could cost us jobs and even shut down newspapers and other local businesses. Keep the phone companies in the phone business. Call now to make sure they don't hang up on jobs in your hometown.
Bird Ball. The Bucks battle the Expos Monday night at 7:25. Stay tuned for Talkin' Bucks following the final out. Monday night's a baseball night on KBL, so turn us on and get in the game.
The Jets just selected a Russian player.
As the second round continues, it is the first chance that the St. Louis Blues, the Los Angeles Kings, and the Philadelphia Flyers, along with the Buffalo Sabres, will have to make a selection here in the 1993 NHL Entry Draft. We'll continue in just a moment.
Jack, you look great. New clubs, new shoes, new ball.
Well, it's the new me, Bill.
New golf game, too?
We'll see.
It's showtime.
Showtime.
Hey! Whoa!
Maybe a 2-iron, Bill?
Yeah, a 2-iron. I just don't get it.
Well, it's showtime, Bill. And it's not the shoes, it's not the clubs, it's not the ball. It's this latest video from Golf Digest. How to get distance and accuracy.
A video?
Yeah, anyone can get it. And it's free when you subscribe to Golf Digest.
Huh.
Outdrive your partner with this half-hour instructional video, free with a 1-year subscription to Golf Digest, just $19.77. Call 800-522-5333. Imagine this video and Golf Digest. Call 800-522-5333.
From the 1993 NHL Entry Draft, we continue live from the Coliseum in Quebec City. And let's go once around the floor down there and join Paul Romanek for his thoughts on what's transpired so far today. Paul?
All right, thanks, John. I'm just standing down by the Ottawa table where it all started, about 3.5 hours ago now. It's going to go on for at least another 6 hours or so, people are speculating. Left with a couple of impressions. And number one, the thing that strikes me is just what an incredible event this has become. What you're seeing more than anything else, not the start of NHL careers, you do see that, but you see hundreds of young men with a chance to literally live out a lifelong dream. Most of these kids have been working at this since they just learned how to skate. The other thing, a really touching moment, talked to a young Ontario Hockey League player who is here, has absolutely no hope of getting drafted. He knows that, but he just wanted to come here and be a part of it with all his friends. Here's Gary.
Well, Paul, I'll tell you what, I have been amazed at this draft once again because these kids just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. So hockey's obviously alive and well in the world. And I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of youngsters around here today that I know they want to be on that podium someday, hearing their name called. In fact, I've got Kevin with me here, and I think about 2003, Kevin's going to be a first-round draft pick. Maybe just like his brother. Wonder who that might be.
Well, I'll tell you what, as Paul mentioned, it started 3.5 hours ago. And what has surprised me most about this year's draft is the lack of surprises. Everything has really unfolded as it should. The top 6 players went, and the top 6 players, there was a lot of talk prior to the start of the draft that there could be a lot of teams trading up or attempting to trade up. And sure, there was a lot of talk, but very little movement. A very routine 1993 entry draft. All in all, a good afternoon. Back to you, John.
Well, Jim, the dreams are just beginning for a lot of players players and parents, and I guess that's one thing that you come away from an entry draft like this with a memory of, is how much fun the parents actually have watching their kids and how emotional it can be.
Well, there's no question about that, but I'll tell you what, the dreams begin too for the Ottawa Senators. They did last year when they took Alexei Yashin, but to take Alexander Day, a francophone potential superstar who can appeal to both marketplaces in Ottawa, Hull, Ontario, Quebec, is great. And I'll tell you what, Jim Van Horn also hit on it. What didn't happen here today was almost as big of a story of what happened. Dave Manson did not get traded. Felix Potvin did not get traded. Joe Nieuwendyk did not get traded. But I'll tell you what, even though today marks the unofficial last day of the hockey season, stay close because all those deals are still pending and lots of stuff can happen over this longest of summers.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Enjoyable as always watching the events unfold up here with Bob McKenzie. We'll send you down for a final goodbye now to Jim Van Horn.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us for our live coverage of TSN's 93 NHL entry draft. For the people that you saw on camera and for the entire crew behind the scenes, they've worked hard to bring you the pictures from Quebec City. For all of us, I'm Jim Van Horn. Enjoy the weekend. The 1993 NHL entry draft has been brought to you by Molson Canadian Ice. Welcome to the Ice Age.
Filling. It breaks a 1-1 tie in the 6th inning. Bucks up 2-1. Rookie pitcher Steve Cook helping his own cause with a bouncer up the middle here. The RBI single puts the Pirates up 3-1. But the real story in this one was rookie left-hander Steve Cook on the mound. John Kruk, sit down. Then Darren Dalton, you can sit down. The middle of the Phillies lineup, Pete Incaviglia, sit down. Striking out the side, the middle of that powerful lineup, a combined 1 for 12 with 6 strikeouts against Cook. Pirates win at 4-2. Cook's 6-hitter, the first complete game thrown against the Phillies all year, as Philadelphia has now lost 19 of its last 23 games in Three Rivers Stadium.
On to South Florida for the Expos and Marlins.
Highlights are next. Draft, they had the last pick overall, but when their turn finally came, Craig Patrick again went to Europe for the Penguins' choice.
Pittsburgh Penguins select from Leksand, Sweden, Stefan Bergqvist.
Stefan Bergqvist is only 18 years old, so don't expect to see him in a Penguin uniform anytime soon. He's 6'3", weighs 218 pounds. He's a defenseman and reminds a lot of people of a young Kjell Samuelsson. He's supposedly the strongest player in junior hockey. There are reports that he could bench press 300 pounds. Now, as far as the rest of the picks, here they are for you. Dominique Pettis was the center taken in the 2nd round, had 119 points at Lethbridge. Penguin 3rd-round pick goes to Dave Roche, a left winger, a big one, 6'4", 224, and a 100-point man. In the 4th round, back to Sweden, Jonas Andersson Jonka, a 6'2", 169 defenseman. 5th round, Chris Kelleher. 6th round, Patrick Lalime, a goaltender. In the 7th, Sean Selmser. In the 8th round, Larry McMoran. 9th round, Timothy Harberts. And in the 10th round, Leonid Toropchenko out of Springfield. How about that? Unlike most draft days, there were no major trades today, thank goodness. And not surprisingly, the Ottawa Senators made Alexander Daig the first player taken overall. What is surprising is that the Senators have already signed Daig to a long-term contract. His contract says he's going to get about $12 million over 5 years. Well, Evander Holyfield is on the comeback trail tonight. He was expected to have pounded Alex Stewart into submission by now, but that fight has not yet started. Both fighters have just come into the ring. Today there was a great
Sweden and the Pirates' Steve Cook from
Prince Charles married Diana. Well, it was kind of the Canadian royal wedding today as Mario got married in Montreal. The streets, as you can see, lined with people hoping to get a glimpse of the bride and groom. Mario married Nalia Celine. He's been with her for more than 10 years. Excuse me, my throat is really bothering me tonight. Their daughter, Lauren, she was there, brought by a relative. About 400 guests at the ceremony at the Notre Dame Basilica in Old Montreal. The reception was at a downtown hotel. No word on where they went on their honeymoon. However, we know that Mario took his clubs. And so did Natalie. Natalie's pretty good, and I have a feeling he can keep up with her.
Really?
Yep.
They both play golf. That's great.
Got
Okay,
this thing going here. I can't get rid of it.
Drink some water.
I will.
Well, there's
Thanks.
still more to come.
Point, the NHL was looking to the future. Today, all 26 teams gathered in Quebec for the annual NHL Entry Draft. And I'm sure you won't be surprised that the Pens took a defenseman with their first pick. And the young man they selected was 6'3", 218-pound Stefan Bergquist. Bergquist is said to be a stay-at-home type of defenseman, which would account for him not scoring a single goal in 15 games with Leksand in Sweden. Penguin scouts liken the big Swede to Kjell Samuelsson, only stronger. Bergquist is said to be the strongest player in all of junior hockey, bench pressing about 300 pounds. Other players taken by the Pens were center Dominic Pettis of Lethbridge in the second round. Pettis ranked 5th among scorers in the WHL with 119 points. Then in the third, they took Dave Roach, a left winger out of Peterborough. At the OHL, Roach finished the 92-93 season with an even 100 points. In the fourth round, the Pens selected Jonas Andersson Junka. He's a defensiveman that played for Sweden in the European Junior Tournament, which won the championship. The Pens took defenseman Chris Kelleher, number 5, goalie Patrick Lalline in the 6th round, left wing Sean Selmser in the 7th round, center Larry McMorrin in the 8th round, and center Timothy Harberts in the 9th round. The top 5 picks in the draft went as follows. Ottawa took Alexandre Daigle, a big-time goal scorer from Victoriaville of the Quebec Junior League. With the second pick, the Whalers harpooned defenseman Chris Pronger from Peterborough of the Ontario Hockey League. Tampa Bay Lightning bolted to take center Chris Gratton of Branton. Gratton piled up 109 points last season. Anaheim used the 4th pick to take the best college player in the United States, Paul Carrier of Maine University. And Florida rounded out the top 5 picks with its selection of Rob Niedermeyer of Medicine Hat. Rob's brother Scott is a defenseman for the New Jersey Devils. Well, the greatest hockey player on the planet tied the knot today. Mario Lemieux married his longtime sweetheart, Natalie Aslin, in one of the most celebrated weddings Canada has seen in some time. The ceremony was held at the historic Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal with about 400 guests in attendance. Among those at the Roman Catholic ceremony were several Penguin teammates and front office personnel. After the vows were said, 7 limos whisked the wedding party away to a reception at a downtown hotel. No word yet on the couple's honeymoon's plans. Well,
there's Jágr back in 1990, Marcus Naslund 2 years ago, Martin Straka last year. The Penguins decided to use their top pick in this year's draft to bolster up the defense, and they looked once again to Sweden to find their man.
Pittsburgh Penguins select from Leksand, Sweden, Stefan Bergquist.
18-year-old Stefan Bergquist from Leksand, Sweden. He's 6'3", 218 pounds, considered the strongest player in the draft. He bench presses 300 pounds, and he looks at Ulf Samuelsson as a role model. So that might tell you something about the way he plays. And we look at the summary of the draft picks. He was taken with the 26th and final pick of the first round. He plans on playing in Sweden next year. Round 2, they took Dominic Pettis from Lethbridge, the 5th highest scorer in the Western League with 46 goals, 119 points. Dave Roche in round 3, 18 years old, 6'4", 224 pounds. In round 4, Jonas Andersson Junka. The big question, how's he going to fit the name on the shirt? In round 5, Chris Kelleher from St. Sebastian High School in Massachusetts. And the overall first pick, the guy they say is the best French-Canadian prospect since Mario Lemieux. Alexandre Daigle goes to the Ottawa Senators with the first pick overall in this draft. And from Quebec City to Montreal, where the big news of the day was one of the biggest weddings of the year, Mario and Natalie tie the knot. And as you'd expect, there was plenty of excitement and plenty of familiar faces and plenty of glamour and plenty of limos going around. And there's Mario getting out of his, heading into the church. Here's Natalie getting out of her limo. Nice bouquet. Former teammate Paul Coffey was there. Rick Tocchet is getting off the bus right there. We still haven't heard whether they're going on the honeymoon. As for the gifts, what do you give a guy who has $42 million? I don't know. Never had to worry about that. In Dearborn, what was that, toaster? Talk to you in a minute. In Dearborn, Michigan, the Seniors Players Championship.
Another overhead. Another dive. And Edberg knocks it into the net. The Swede
You don't see happen in the NBA or NFL. Daigle has already agreed to a multi-year contract in principle, and the deal would make the 6-foot, 170-pound center the 6th highest paid player in the league. A $12 million 5-year agreement. Daigle said he was pleased to be the #1 pick, adding nobody remembers who #2 is. Well, Chris Pronger took exception to that. Pronger, the best defenseman in the draft, was picked #2 by Hartford. Hobie Baker Award winner Paul Correa, a Duck, while Florida selected center Rob Niedermeyer, who probably is a big Animal House fan. 8 forwards were selected among the top 9 picks. Russian Viktor Kozlov was one of them, selected by the Sharks. Kozlov is seen as the best European in the draft. And Edmonton got Jason Arnott, who, according to the scouting report, does not back away from involvement, and that is something to be proud of.